Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Are you there, Lavanya?
Yes, I'm waiting. Yeah.
It's okay. Whoever can be able to join, they let them join. I'll start.
No, start చేయండి.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before that, Veinda, Vrunda, Ansini Veinda.
యా హన్సిన్ వెళ్ళింది. బృందా షీ ఇస్ నాట్ ఫీలింగ్ వెల్, రైట్? సో ఇక్కడే ఉంది. ఇప్పుడే కాసేపు లేచింది. ఇప్పుడు సిరప్ వేస్తా, కానీ ఇప్పుడే లేచింది కదా, కాసేపు అయినా.
Okay, Lagani. We'll talk. In the evening. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyamati Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Mupankaroti Vachalam Pangamalande Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishram Sarvam Sangato Piva Jasmaret Pundarikaksham Sabhashyabhyantaram Suchi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. So we are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita chapter 18. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita volume 1 chapter 18 entitled as The Breaking the Ground. We shall start from here. I'll read. The summer of 1966 moved into August, and Prabhupada kept good health. For him, these were happy days. New Yorkers complained of the summer heat waves, but this caused no inconvenience to one accustomed to the 100-degree plus temperatures of Vrindavana's blazing summers. It is like India, he said, as he went without a shirt, seeming relaxed and at home. He had thought that in America he would have to subsist on boiled potatoes. Otherwise, there would be nothing but meat. But there he was happily eating the same rice, dal, and chapatis, and cooking on the same 3 stacked cooker as in India. Work on the Srimad Bhagavatam had also gone on regularly since he had moved into the Second Avenue apartment. Work on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And now Krishna was bringing these sincere young men who were cooking, typing, hearing him regularly, chanting Hare Krishna, and asking for more. Wonderful. So Prabhupada was still a solitary teacher, free to stay or go, writing his books in his own intimate relationship with Krishna, quite independent of the boys in the storefront. But now he had taken the International Society for Krishna Consciousness as his spiritual child. The inquiring young men, some of whom had already been chanting steadily for over a month, were like stumbling spiritual infants, and he felt responsible for guiding them. They were beginning to consider him their spiritual master, trusting him to lead them into spiritual life. Although they were unable to immediately follow the multifarious rules that Brahmanas and Vaishnavas in India followed, he was hopeful. According to Rupa Goswami, the most important principle was that one should somehow or other become Krishna consciousness. Ena kena prakarena. Somehow or other. People should chant Hare Krishna and render devotional service. They should engage whatever they had in the service of Krishna. And Prabhupada was exercising this basic principle of Krishna consciousness to the furthest limit the history of Vaishnavism had ever seen. I'll finish this chapter and unko chapter Prabhupada. Okay. Although he was engaging the boys in cooking and typing, Prabhupada was not doing any less himself. Rather, for every sincere soul who come forward to ask for service, 100 came who wanted not to serve but to challenge, speaking to them, sometimes shouting, pounding his fists. Prabhupada defended Krishna against the Mayavada philosophy. This was also his service to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. He had not come to America to retire. So, with the passing of each new day came yet another confirmation that his work and his followers and his challengers would only increase. How much he could do was up to Krishna. I am an old man, he said. I may go away at any moment. But if he were to go away now, certainly Krishna consciousness would also go away. Because the Krishna consciousness society was nothing but him. His figure leading the chanting while his head moved back and forth in moved back and forth in small motions of ecstasy. His figure walking in and out of the temple through the courtyard or into the apartment. Is a person sitting down smilingly to discuss philosophy by the hour. He was the sole bearer and maintainer of the small, fragile, controlled atmosphere of Krishna consciousness on New York's Lower East Side. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll continue another chapter also. Okay, planting the seed, very important. Huh? Planting the seed, chapter 19. Okay, we'll read this one also. Chapter 19, planting the seed. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You start now, Aglavanya.
హరే కృష్ణ. మరి వాణి మాతాజీ కూడా జాయిన్ అయ్యారు ఇప్పుడే.
హరే కృష్ణ. నేను చదివేస్తా ప్రభుజీ, చదివి వెళ్తా. I will read in chapter 19, planting the seed. Does what you told us this morning, Howard asked, mean we are supposed to accept the spiritual master to be God? That means he is due to the same respect as God, being God's representative. Prabhupada replied calmly. Then he is not God. No, Prabhupada said, God is God. The spiritual master is his representative. Therefore, he is as good as God because he can deliver God to the sincere disciple. Is that clear? From Dialogue from Hayagriva. August 1966. It was a makeshift. A storefront turned temple and a two-room apartment transformed into Guru's residence and study. But it was complete nonetheless. It was a complete monastery amid the city slums. The temple, the storefront, as quickly becoming known among the hip underground of the Lower East Side. The courtyard was strangely peaceful place for aspiring monks with its little garden, bird sanctuary and trees squeezed in between the front and rear buildings. The Swami's back room was the inner sanctum of the monastery. Each room had a flavor of its own, or rather, it took on its particular character from the Swami's activities there.
Continue, if you want to continue.
The temple room was his kirtana and lecture hall. The lecture was always serious and formal. Even from the beginning, when there were no no dayas, he had to sit on a straw mat facing a few guests. It was clear he was here to instruct and not to invite casual give and take dialogue. Questions had to wait until he finished speaking. The audience would sit on the floor and listen to for 45 minutes as he delivered the Vedic knowledge. In fact, always speaking on the basis of Vedic authority, quoting Sanskrit, quoting the previous spiritual masters, delivering perfect knowledge, supported with reason and argument. While contending with noises of this speech, he lectured with exactly scholarship and deeply committed devotion. It appeared that he had long ago mastered all the references and conclusions of his preceders and had even come to anticipate all intellectual challenges.
Hari
He
bol.
also yeah,
Continue. If you are one more, read it.
also he also held kirtanas in the storefront. Like the lectures, the kirtanas were serious, but they were not so formal. Prabhupada was lenient during kirtana. Visitors would bring harmoniums, wooden flutes, guitars, and they would follow the melody or create their own improvisations. Someone bought an old string, bass, and bow, and an inspired guest could always pick up the bow and play along. Some of the boys had found the innards of an upright piano waiting on the curb with someone's garbage, and they had brought it to the temple and placed it near the entrance. During a kirtana, freewheeling guests would run their hands over the wires, creating strange vibrations. Robert Nelson, several weeks back, had bought a large Campbell that now hung from the ceiling, dangling close by the Swami's dais.
Yes, mother. Thank you, mother.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Continue, Lavanya.
ఏంటి ప్రభుజీ ఈరోజు ఇంకా ఎవరు లాగిన్ అవ్వలేదు మనం ముగ్గురే ఉన్నాం
I don't know వాళ్ళకి ఈ రోజు ఉదయం అయిందో లేకపోతే ఇంకా నిద్రలోనే ఉన్నారో తెలియదు.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Can I continue?
Continue. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But there was a limit to the extravagance. Sometimes when a newcomer picked up the kartals and played them in a beat other than the standard 1, 2, 3, Swamiji would ask one of the boys to correct him, even at the risk of offending the guest. Prabhupada led the chanting and drummed with one hand on a small bongo. Even on this title, bongo drum, he played Bengali mridanga rhythms so interestingly that a local Congo drummer used to come just to hear. The Swami gets in some good licks. The Swamiji's kirtanas were a new high, and the boys would glance at each other with widening eyes and shaking heads as they responded to his chanting, comparing it to other previous drug experiences and signaling each other favorably. This is great. It's better than LSD. It is better than LSD. Hey man, I'm really getting high on this. And Prabhupada encouraged their newfound intoxication. Haribol.
Continue.
As master of these kirtanas, he was also acting expertly as guru. Lord Chaitanya had said there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name. And Prabhupada brought the chanting to the lower east side just that way. A kindergartner of spiritual life, he once called the temple. Here he taught the ABCs of Krishna consciousness, lecturing from Bhagavad Gita and leading the group chanting Hare Krishna. Sometimes after the final kirtana, he would invite those who are interested to join him for further talks in his apartment. In the back room of his apartment, Prabhupada was usually alone, especially in the early morning hours, 2, 3, and 4 a.m. When almost no one else was awake, in these early hours, his room was silent, and he worked alone in the intimacy of his relationship with Krishna. He would sit on the floor beyond the suitcase desk, worshipping Krishna by typing the translation and purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. Can I continue? Or?
Yeah, continue this paragraph and give it to Rashmi Mata. Okay.
But this same back room was also used for meetings, and anyone who brought himself to knock on the Swamiji's door could enter and speak with him at any time, face to face. Prabhupada would sit back from his typewriter and give his time to talking, listening, answering questions, and sometimes arguing or joking. A visitor must sit alone with him for half an hour before someone else would knock, and Swamiji would invite the newcomer to join them. New guests would come and others would go, but Swamiji stayed and sat and talked. Hare Krishna. Srila
Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Rashmi Mata ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Please read.
Generally, visits were formal. His guest would ask philosophical question and he would answer. Much the same as after a lecture in the soft front. storefront. But occasionally, some of the boys who were becoming serious followers would monopolize his time, especially on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday nights when there was no evening lecture in the temple. Often they would ask him personal question. What was it like when he first came to New York? What about India? Did he have followers there? Where his family members devotee of Krishna? What was his spiritual master like? And then Prabhupada would talk in a different way, quicker, more intimate, and humorous.
Continue.
He told how Yes, he told how one morning in New York he had first seen snow and thought someone had whitewashed the building. Whitewashed the building. He told how he had spoken at several churches in Butler, and when the boys asked what kind of churches they were, he smiled and replied, I don't know. And they laughed with him. He would reminisce freely about the British control of India and about Indian politics. He told them it was not so much Gandhi as Subhash Chandra Bose who had liberated India. Subhash Chandra Bose had gone outside of India and started the Indian National Army. He entered into an agreement and Hitler that Indian soldiers fighting for British India who surrendered to the Germans could be returned to the Indian National Army to fight against the British, and it was this show of force by Bose more than Gandhi's non-violence which led to India's independence.
Hare
Shall
Krishna.
I
Thank you.
continue, Prabhuji?
Continue if you
Thank you
want.
so much, Prabhuji. My Prabhuji
Background
also
is-
joined Prabhuji in my.
Yeah. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, for me, na?
Everybody, are you able to hear me? Just checking.
Yes, we are able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Gaurav Prabhu. Okay. Continue, please. Some background voice is coming. I don't know from where. Read, Prabhu. Continue.
Prabhuji
Please.
from us, Prabhuji, because we are in our own town.
Okay, no problem.
So,
Then,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he talked of his childhood at the turn of the century when street lamps was gaslit and carriage and horse-drawn trams were also only vehicles in Kolkata dusty street. These talks charmed the boys even more than the transcendental philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and drew them affectionately to him. He told about his father, Gaur Mohan De, a pure Vaishnava. His father had been a cloth merchant and his family had been intimately related with the aristocratic Muliks of Calcutta. The Muliks had a deity of Krishna, and Prabhupada's father had given him a deity of to worship as a child. He used to imitate the worship of the Govinda deity in the Muliks temple. As a boy, he had held his own Rath Yatra festivals each year, imitating the miniature, the Janjatic festival of Jagannatha Puri, and his father's friends used to joke, oh, the Rath Yatra ceremony is going on at your home and you do not invite us. What is this? His father would reply, this is child's play, that's all. But the neighbors said, oh, child's play, you are avoiding us by saying it's for children. Hare Krishna.
continue.
Yes. Prabhupada fondly remembered his father who had never wanted him to be a worldly man, who had given him lessons in Mridanga, and who had prayed to visiting sadhus that one day the boy would grow up to be the devotee of Radharani. One night he told how he met his spiritual master. He told how he had begun his own chemical business but had left home and in 1959 had taken sannyasa. The boys were interested but so ignorant of the things Prabhupada was talking about that at the mention of the word like mridanga or sannyasa, they would have to ask what it meant. And he would go on the conversation tangents, describing Indian spices, Indian drums, and even Indian women. And whatever he spoke about, he would eventually shine upon it the light of the Shastra. He did not ration out such talks, but gave it out abundantly by the hour, day after day, as long as there was a real live inquirer.
Yes, sir.
At
Thank
noon,
you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Deepa Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Are you able to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
At noon, the front room became a dining hall, and in the evenings, a place of intimate worship. Prabhupada had kept the room with its 12-foot square hardwood parquet floor clean and bare. The solitary coffee table against the wall between the two courtyard windows was the only furniture. Daily at noon, a dozen men were now taking lunch here with him. The meal was cooked by Keith, who spent the whole morning in the kitchen. At first, Keith had cooked only for the Swami. He had mastered the art of cooking dal, rice, and sabji in the Swami's three-tiered boiler, and usually there had been enough for one or two guests as well. But soon more guests had no Mondays But soon more guests had begun to gather, and Prabhupada had told Keith to increase the quantity, abandoning the small three-tiered cooker until he was cooking for a dozen hungry men. The boarders, Raphael and Don, though not so interested in the Swami's talk, would arrive punctually each day for prasadam, usually with a friend or two who had wandered into the storefront. Steve would drop by from his job at the welfare office. The Mott Street group would come, and there were others. Prabhuji, can somebody else read? I
Yes,
just
yes,
need
yes. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Let me start again. The kitchen was stocked with standard Indian spices, fresh chilies, fresh ginger root, whole cumin seeds, turmeric, and asafetida. Keith mastered the basic cooking techniques and passed them on to Chuck. Atlas started, who became his assistant. Some of the other boys would stand at the doorway of the narrow kitchenette to watch Keith as one thick pancake like chapati after another blew up like an inflated football over the open flame and then took its place in the steaming stack. Go 2 3 paragraphs, I will over to you, Lavanya, okay? While the fine basmati rice boiled to a moist, full, fluffy white finish and the sabji simmered, the noon cooking would climax with the chance. Keith prepared the chance exactly as Swami has showed him. Over the flame, he set a small metal cup half filled with clarified butter and then put in cumin seeds. When the seeds turned almost black, he added chilies, and as the chilies blackened, a choking smoke began to pour from the cup. Now the chance was ready. With his cook's tongs, Keith lifted the cup, its boiling, crackling mixture fuming like a fluming like a sorcerer's kettle, and brought it to the edge of the pot of boiling dal. He opened the tight cover slightly, dumped the boiling chance into the dal with a flick of his wrist, and immediately replaced the lid. Pow! The meeting of the chance and the dal created an explosion, which was then greeted by cheers from the doorway, signifying that the cooking was now complete. This final operation was so volatile that it once blew the top of the pot to the ceiling with a loud smash, causing minor burns to Keith's hand. Some of the neighbors complained of uh, acrid, penetrating fumes, but the devotees loved it. When lunch was ready, Swamiji would wash his hands and mouth in the bathroom and come out into the front room. His soft pink-bottomed feet always bare, his saffron dhoti reaching down to his ankles. He would stand by the coffee table, which held the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, while his own associates stood around him against the walls. Keith would bring in a big tray of chapatis, stacked by the dozens, and place it on the floor before the altar table along with pots of rice, dal, and sabji. Swamiji would then recite the Bengali prayer for offering food to the Lord, and all present would follow him by bowing down knees and head to the floor, and approximating the Bengali prayer one word at a time, while the steam and mixed aromas drifted up like an offering of incense before the picture of Lord Chaitanya. The Swami's flowers bowed their heads to the wooden floor and mumbled the prayer. Prabhupada then Prabhupada then sat with his friends eating the same prasadam as they, with the addition of a banana and a metal bowl full of hot milk. He would slice the banana by pushing it downward against the edge of the bowl, letting the slices fall into the hot milk. Prabhupada's open decree that everyone should eat as much prasadam as possible created a humorous mood and a family feeling. No one was allowed simply to sit, picking at his food, nibbling politely. They ate with a gusto Swamiji almost insisted upon. If he saw someone not eating heartily, he would call the person's name and smilingly protest, "Why are you not eating? Take prasadam." And he would laugh. Then I was coming to your country on the boat. When I was coming to your country on the boat, he said, I thought, how will the Americans ever eat this food? And as the boys pushed their plates forward for more, Keith would serve more seconds, second times, anamata, 2 times, seconds, more rice, dal, chapatis, and sabji. ఇది కూడా మన కల్చర్లో భాగం అయిపోయింది. రై ఒక దాల్ ఎవ్రీడే ఇన్ ఎవ్రీ టెంపుల్ ఇది మస్ట్ ఉంటుంది. ఏదో ఒకటి ఏదో ఒకటి కాదు, ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి యాక్చువల్గా ఫస్ట్ భోగా ప్రిపరేషన్స్ లా. రైస్, దాల్, చపాతీస్ అండ్ సబ్జీ అండ్ సమ్ స్వీట్స్, ప్రిపేర్డ్ స్వీట్స్. ఓకే, I'll wrap up here. Please all of you continue. Radhika Mata is also in hearing mode. Vani Mata is also somewhat hearing mode. And, you can engage them. Others also, others engage them. Okay, you search here, Lavanya. I'm copy pasting here.
Yes,
From
yes.
here you continue. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
you continue. Yeah. Okay. Open up your screen and then I will leave the meeting. Then after all, it was spiritual. Okay, let me make you first. Make host. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you, devotees. Again, Anod Pranams. Vancha Kalpatarubhascha. Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद लीलामृतम की जय. Please continue whatever time, 9:15, 9:20 with sloka recitation. Hare Krishna. Somebody join right ఇప్పుడు ఇంత ఉంది మాధవి మాత. You can ask, you can start from her.
Yeah, yeah.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji. Are you able to see my screen? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah, you can start, Madhavi Mataji.
Yeah.
After all. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. After all, it was spiritual. You were supposed to eat a lot. It would purify you. It would free you from Maya. Besides, it was good, delicious, spicy. This was better than American food. It was like chanting. It was far out. You got high from eating this food. They ate with the right hand, Indian style. Keith and Howard had already learned this and had even tasted similar dishes. But as they told the Swami and a room full of believers, the food in India had never been this good. One boy, Stanley, was quite young, and Prabhupada, almost like a doting father, watched over him as he ate. Stanley's mother had personally met Prabhupada and said that only if he took personal care of her son would she allow him to live in the monastery. Prabhupada complied. He diligently encouraged the boy until Stanley gradually took on a voracious appetite and began consuming 10 chapatis at a sitting, and would have taken more had Swamiji not told him to stop. But aside from Swamiji's limiting Stanley to 10 chapatis, the word was always more, take more. When Prapada was finished, he would rise and leave the room. Keith would catch a couple of volunteers to help him clean, and the others would leave. Should I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Occasionally on a Sunday, Prapada himself would cook a feast with special Indian dishes. Steve, Swamiji personally cooked the prasadam and then served it to us upstairs in his front room. We all sat in rows, and I remember him walking up and down in between the rows of boys, passing before us with his bare feet and serving us with a spoon from different pots. He would ask what did we want. Did we want more of this? And he would serve us with pleasure. These dishes were not ordinary, but sweets and saviors, like sweet rice and kachoris with special taste. Even after we had all taken a full plate, he could come back and ask us to take more. Once he came up to me and asked what I would like more of. Would I like some more sweet rice? In my early misconception of spiritual life, I thought I should deny myself what I liked best. So I asked for some more plain rice. But even that plain rice was fancy yellow rice with fried cheese balls. On off nights, his apartment was quiet. He might remain alone for the whole evening, typing and translating Srimad Bhagavatam or talking in a relaxed atmosphere to just one or two guests until 10. But on meeting nights, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there was activity in every room of his apartment. He wasn't alone anymore. His new followers were helping him, and they shared in his spirit of trying to get people to chant Hare Krishna and hear of Krishna consciousness. In the back room, he worked on his translation of the Bhagavatam or spoke with guests up until 6. When he would go to take his bath, sometimes he would have to wait until the bathroom was free. He had introduced his young followers to the practice of taking 2 baths a day, and now he was sometimes inconvenienced by having to share his bathroom. After his bath, he would come into the front room where his assembled followers would sit around him. He would sit on a mat facing his picture of the Panchatattva, and after putting a few drops of water in his left palm from a small metal spoon and a bowl, he would rub a lump of Vrindavana clay in the water, making a wet paste. He would then apply the clay markings of Vaishnava Tilaka, dipping into the yellowish paste in his left hand with the ring finger of his right. He would scrape wet clay from his palm, and while looking into a small mirror, which he held deftly between the thumb and the pinky of his left hand, he would mark a vertical clay strip of his perch and then trim the clay into 2 parallel lines by placing the little finger of his right hand between his eyebrows and running it upward past the hairline, clearing a path in the still more moist clay. Then he marked 11 other places on his body, while the boys sat observing, sometimes asking questions or sometimes speaking their own understanding of Krishna consciousness. Should I continue, Mataji?